The drama surrounding Caitlin Clark's new commercial is not just about a cool edit, a clever line, or a flashy shoe. It is about the moment when an athlete stops being simply a star in their own sport and starts to feel like a full-scale cultural presence. This time, it is not just Hawkeye Nation, not just Indiana Fever fans, and not even just die-hard women's basketball supporters reacting. It is the wider sports world, casual viewers, shoe collectors, and people who would normally scroll right past a women's hoops clip suddenly slamming the pause button and watching the entire thing. In a season where every move Caitlin makes is scrutinized, debated, and magnified, this Nike-backed commercial did something rare. It cut through the noise and reminded everyone why brands cannot stop calling her, because when she shows up on screen, everything else around her gets louder too. From the first seconds, the energy around this spot felt different. People who usually roll their eyes at brand campaigns were reposting it. Comment sections that are normally split into endless arguments about calls, fouls, and league politics were, for once, almost united. Double-digit millions of views came in what felt like hours, fan edits started flying, and entire channels began breaking down the commercial frame by frame. The reaction was not just, "Oh, this is good." It was, "This might be the best Caitlin Clark commercial yet." The narrative, the visuals, the symbolism, even the tiny details like the flash of a logo in her eye, all came together to tell one clear story. Caitlin Clark is not just the face of a team or a league. She is rapidly becoming the face of an era. To understand why this ad hits so hard, you have to rewind to where the brand story really took off. Before the Nike Kobe shoe campaign, before the Super Bowl-style Nike spot, before the internet started calling her the future of women's basketball, there was a State Farm commercial. At first glance, it looked like a fun, harmless partnership. Caitlin Clark, then still at Iowa, trading lines with Jake from State Farm. But if you watch that ad again with fresh eyes, you can see something that most people only realized later. She didn't look like a nervous college player reading off cue cards. She looked like someone who had already been doing commercials for years. Her timing was sharp, her expressions were natural, and her presence fit the camera as easily as it fits a sold-out arena. That State Farm spot quietly changed the calculation for every major brand watching from the sidelines. It delivered big numbers, outperforming typical ads, and proved that viewers were not only willing to see a women's college player pushed as a national face, they were ready for it. It signaled that Caitlin Clark was not just an athlete who could draw ratings, she was a personality who could carry a commercial. Suddenly, brands like Nike, Gatorade, and Wilson were not just interested. They were racing each other to attach their logos to her name. Her brand didn't grow by accident. It expanded because every time she stepped up, whether on the court or on camera, she delivered. Yet at the same time Caitlin's star was rising, Nike found itself in the middle of a very different conversation. A wave of criticism hit the brand in the form of Dear Nike messaging and campaigns that called them out for staying silent on women's sports issues. Voices from across the women's sports landscape accused them of doing too little for girls and women, of talking about empowerment while staying quiet when it mattered most. Clips began circulating featuring women asking pointed questions. Why won't you stand up for me? Why do you say you support women and girls but when we need you most, you remain silent? These were not soft, brand-friendly critiques. They were direct, emotional, and publicly demanding a response from the biggest name in athletic gear. The pressure was real. Nike's history is full of iconic ads that define entire generations. Yet here they were being accused of letting male athletes dominate the spotlight while women's sports fought for scraps. It wasn't just a PR problem. It was a trust problem. Fans and athletes alike wanted to know whether Nike would truly show up for women in the way they claimed to in their slogans. Against that backdrop, partnering with Caitlin Clark wasn't only about signing the most electric player in basketball. It was also about proving that they were willing to invest big in a woman whose very presence could redefine interest in the game. That is the context that makes this new Caitlin Clark Nike commercial feel so loaded. On the surface, it is a high-energy, star-studded spot featuring Caitlin alongside names like Aya Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Sha'Carri Richardson, and other elite athletes. But at its core, the ad is built around a message that hits at every criticism and every doubt women face. You will be told you can't do it, so do it anyway. You will be told you cannot win, so win. You can't speak up. You can't take credit. You can't be so ambitious. You can't break records. You can't stand out. The entire script flips the language of limitation into a challenge. Whatever you do, you can't win, so win. Visually, it feels like something you would see during the Super Bowl. Quick cuts, bold lighting, sweeping shots that jump from the court to the track to the locker room. The soundtrack is urgent and triumphant at the same time, pulling you in and pushing you along. Even if you watch it on a small phone screen with the sound half muted, the rhythm still hits. Then there is that locker room moment with Caitlyn. She opens her eye, and for a split second it looks like some kind of reptilian slit. But zoom in and it is actually the Kobe logo, the mark of the black mamba, reflecting in her iris. It is a tiny detail, but it says so much. She is not just wearing Kobe's shoes, she is carrying that legacy forward in her own way. Fans picked up on everything. They noticed the eye. They caught the exact wording in the narration. They clipped the lines "so win" and turned it into edits. They looped Caitlyn's shots and slowed them down over dramatic music, and they debated which moment in the commercial gave them chills. For once, the conversation was not about drama off the court or who fouled who. It was about a piece of content that made people feel something. Research firms started ranking the spot among Nike's top-tier ads in terms of emotional impact and social buzz. And what makes those numbers even more insane is that she is still so early in her WNBA career. This is not supposed to happen to rookies. This is the kind of treatment usually reserved for legends. But Caitlyn Clark is not a normal rookie, and the numbers behind her name go far beyond views on one commercial. Analysts estimate she already drives a huge share of WNBA ticket sales and jersey sales, and her games consistently pull some of the highest ratings in the league. Every time a new Caitlyn Clark highlight, interview, or commercial drops, there is a measurable spike in search traffic, social engagement, and merchandise sales. For brands, that means running a Caitlyn Clark ad is not just about hype. It is about tapping into one of the most reliable engines of attention in modern sports. She does not just attract eyeballs. She moves the market. That is why her brand ecosystem feels so interconnected. The Nike ad is not an isolated project. It ties into Gatorade campaigns that have seen limited edition bottles and towels disappear from shelves in days. It links to Wilson basketball drops where special Caitlyn Clark designs have turned from gear into collector's items. Even the simple CC logo that some people mocked at first has become something fans now want on hoodies, hats, and posters. The projections for a future Caitlyn Clark signature shoe are already being talked about in terms of hundreds of millions in potential revenue. So when Nike centers her in an ad that doubles as a statement about women's sports and ambition, it is not just branding. It is an announcement. They are not treating her as a small piece of a larger marketing puzzle. They are presenting her as one of the pillars. What makes the reaction even more powerful is how fans themselves are answering back. Under every upload of the Nike commercial, you see comments from people admitting they never watched a full WNBA game before, yet here they are watching Fever highlights, looking up her stats, or buying their first Caitlyn Clark jersey. Some are parents talking about daughters suddenly asking for her number on a shirt. Others are longtime Hoops fans saying it has been years since an ad made them feel this excited. This is the dream scenario for a brand and a league.